Hello, I'm Deathmare, and when I'm not shoving potato chips into my mouth, I make wrestling videos. Today, it's all going to be about Stone Cold Steve Austin versus John Cena. Welcome to Wrestling with Deathmare. Let's go to the intro. Two wrestlers who often get classified as the greatest of all time in professional wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena. Who is better? John Cena is known for three things: hustle, loyalty, and respect. Stone Cold Steve Austin is known for one thing: raising hell. To be clear, this debate is not about how many world titles Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena have had in their career. It's predetermined, so that would be kind of silly to compare that. Instead, what we should compare is the one thing about professional wrestling that us, the professional wrestling fans, love the most: character. For example, take a look here at Mean Mark Calloway. Now take a look at The Undertaker, an old Western Undertaker who's probably possessed, then in later years recruits members to create his own occult just to ride his motorcycle into the desert to discover his true identity. Which wrestler would you be interested in, Undertaker or Mark Calloway? With character in mind, Steve Austin's greatest character, Stone Cold Steve Austin, would really only be around for a few years on top. And John Cena's greatest character, the Doctor of Thugonomics, would only be around a few years as well. Ironically enough, he had his greatest character before he was on top. So it is interesting to note that Steve Austin's greatest character was at the tail end of his career and would only last a little while, and John Cena's greatest character was in the beginning of his career and would only last a little while. With characters as strong as the Doctor of Thugonomics and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the two of them in their respective eras would sell out arenas everywhere and a crap ton of merchandise, so there's not really a competition there. The real question is who contributed the most to professional wrestling. And with that question being asked, I believe this debate is finally coming to a close. You see, I've reached a conclusion in my personal answer to this very real question. The answer to that question is that in the longest part and on top of John Cena's career, he did absolutely nothing to help captivate audiences around the world or the viewers at home. Ever since he got on top as the champion and the main guy, long gone were the days of character. Now we were stuck with a guy who just wanted to keep his job. And who didn't like or love the Doctor of Thugonomics character? It was entertaining. He could work with anyone in any storyline. It was great. It was a strong character. And it worked amazing in both ways, as a good guy and as a bad guy. Now, I know you could argue and say, well, it changed because the WWE as a company were changing in direction into of a more family friendly product. And I get that. I do. I totally understand. You have to change with the times. But after those times, when the numbers went into the trash and people stopped watching, what did John Cena do after that? The same old crap. And quite frankly, I hate to do this to you, and it's not that I don't like John Cena. That's not the case. But Stone Cold Steve Austin came into the WWE when it was a way much more family friendly product than what it was in the 2010s. And look what he did with it. It speaks for itself as far as who contributed the most to professional wrestling. On top of that, who did John Cena make when he was on top in WWE? Should we ask CM Punk? Should we ask Wade Barrett? Should we ask Bobby Lashley? Should we ask Mr. Kennedy? Exactly. And I know you viewer mayors are going to say, oh, well, CM Punk actually won at Money in the Bank 2011. Yeah, I wonder why. Because in real life, he was about to leave. Of course, they were going to give him the title just to come back and lose it. Okay? Oh, well, Bobby Lashley was WWE champion. Yeah, about 10 years too late. You had a guy like John Cena who was pretending to be a Marine in movies, while a wrestler like Bobby Lashley was on the roster, was a trained, great professional wrestler, and, I don't know, was an actual Marine. Are you serious? And how about Wade Barrett? Oh, yeah, there you go. Let's just completely bury the Nexus. When it got people to start watching again. And then you just job them out. Why? It's wrestling is about storytelling. Stone Cold in his day didn't care. Do you know how many times he lost to Mankind, The Rock, Triple H? How many times he got screwed over by Vince McMahon? It's all a part of the story. What? I don't understand why, as a viewer, I can watch pro wrestling through all those years, and even I, as a little deathmare, could tell that this professional wrestler, John Cena, for some reason cared about winning pretend fights. Now, I'll say it again. I have these opinions and these views. However, that doesn't mean I do not like John Cena as a wrestler. Obviously, I've never met the real person. I could never say anything about that. But I do want to bring up one very important thing right here. There has been times throughout the years John Cena has brought his strongest character onto television again. And with his retirement tour coming up, and with Vince McMahon no longer being there, I would say John Cena truly does have an opportunity to be the greatest of all time. It doesn't matter if Vince Russo was the one writing in the 90s or that John Cena had to deal with 200 nerdy writers in his time. The one thing always remains the same. Vince McMahon Jr. was the one calling all of the shots in the Attitude Era, in the Ruthless Aggression Era, in the PG era, in the reality era, or whatever era we're in now. Oh, the Renaissance era. But, with all that being said, there should be no complaints about, well, Stone Cold's character was better because Vince Russo was writing. You're right, but still, the one calling the shots was Vince McMahon. Just as it was for John Cena in his time. I'm really excited to see what John Cena does on this retirement tour. Is it going to be anything different? I hope. I hope it is. I hope he cements his legacy and puts storytelling first. Because at this point, you can't blame anything on Vince McMahon anymore. Because he's not there. Prove us wrong, John. Prove us wrong. With that being said, viewer mares, before I let you go, I got 2 words for you. Word of life. It's okay. Hey, you remember when John Cena told Big Show he had phony baloney titties? That shit was funny.